This is patch 7.21, and I'll be honest, this patch is really lackluster. Like, there's really nothing that really happened. So we're just gonna get right into it, okay? So Azir got nerfed, and that is actually a-okay because he's actually pretty OP right now. He's probably gonna get nerfed more. Okay, so they're really just hitting his mid and late game, which is a-okay. So you know this is good. Okay, it's 20 damage late game with his Q and 5 at a certain point with his W. So you know what? That's fine. Okay, and Echo. Echo is getting a huge AP Echo jungle buff. So maybe AP Echo is actually pretty good because this is actually an issue. I've played AP Echo jungle before, and this is actually an issue I had before. So I like that they're actually helping AP Echo jungle. I wish they did this with more potential junglers instead of just making them forced into having the lane or do something like, I don't know, like they don't really allow for like that diversity. Like for instance, I don't like that they really hurt Camille Jungle with that W change. They should. I don't know what's the problem with making Camille Jungle, especially now since her ult is so nerfed. So hopefully we see more of that. Probably not though. Okay, and this Evelyn buff was actually a joke. Like honestly, who the hell ease Krugs? Like the small mini Krugs. This is probably like I think this actually affects like very slightly like raptors, like the small raptors, maybe even the small wolves. I'm not even sure. I think only the small raptors a tiny bit. Only that's only early. Again, this doesn't really matter though. Like this was probably one of the most pointless buffs I've ever seen in my life. But it's like this is like okay, like this should exist because E should kill as a mini Krug. But it's like there should be more stuff. I actually made a post on my Facebook about this, so you should go read it. Okay, I'm an Evelyn expert. But yeah, I'll link it in the description. Okay. So, and Galio is actually getting huge buffs. So pretty much, he's getting nerfed as a with his like inherent damage and a bit of his inherent tankiness, but he gets it back really easily by just building AP. So AP Galio jungle is probably playable. I'm not sure how good it would be because again, it's very his skills are very easily to be read. Maybe it will be a thing, but like I'm sort of saying like a jungle for me because like they're buffing it so much that it might be viable in the jungle, but he's definitely going to be played like more in mid lane, maybe even top lane, depending on the what you call it, the matchup. Like he's already been played. This is just going to make people perhaps like it's just funny because this patch might backfire for Gally, as in he might end up being stronger than he was before, which is really funny. So we're gonna see how that ends up. Like these are just massive buffs for AP ratios though. So and they're buffing game plank. You know, this is good because every game plank that I ever get on my team ever always feeds. So now they can stop feeding sooner, which is great with more gold on hit. And Rammus, I agree with these changes. I actually didn't even know that Rammus got magic resist from his W, which was really funny. Because again, he is supposed to be a anti AD champion, not anti AP, and this actually makes it so that he doesn't hard counter Shyvana so hard. It's like I was wondering, I'm like, why is my AP damage like I'm just doing no damage to the Rammus, and that's pretty crazy how much inherent magic resist this champion got before. Um, they did buff his armor though, but that doesn't really matter too much because when you get so much armor at a certain point, it doesn't really matter. Like if he has like 200 armor and he gets 70 to 90% more, it's extremely insignificant if you don't have any armor pen to begin with. So again, that's just to make him good against champions with like Last Whisper, but it's supposed to make it so the mages actually take him out, and the fighters will still deal the same damage to him pretty much. And Sejuani got absolutely gutted. No one's gonna play Sejuani anymore after this patch comes out. Like I'll be honest, I don't even think all these nerfs. Like again, this is where I'm really confused by Riot because they act like they want to take their time with nerfs or like with buffs, but then like they literally went all out on Sejuani, like -5 armor, armor growth from 4 to 3. That's absolutely huge. She loses 18 armor total from 1 to 18. Like that's insane. Magic resist lowered, so now she gets bursted a tiny bit higher. Magic was just grow. Like, I don't understand why the hell they hit everything. That's just insane. And on top of this, like, I could understand if they hit these and they left her passive, but they nerfed her passive too. So it's like you can't do both. And it's like the passive. Wow, she gets 10 more armor. What was it, like what level 6? I don't even know. I think it's like level 7. Again, I think it's level 7. I believe. Is it 7 and 13? I believe so. And yeah, that doesn't really matter. The flat bonus resistance don't really matter. They don't make up for the shield duration going from 1, 2, 3 to 2 at all ranks. This, like, the three, like, again, sure, she's like, it's so whatever, because okay, before, you level 1, you have a you I mean, you level 1 until you get the next tier, which would be like 2 seconds. You only had 20 armor. So now it's going to be 2 seconds, you're going to have 20 armor when you're in combat. That's nothing. The only good thing about that is, okay, you can't get slowed. But there's not really enough early game things where you're like, there's going to be a circumstance where you're hit by multiple slows for over a period of time. The only time that's gonna happen is like mid and late game, and by the time it's mid late game, you're gonna be fucking have a 2 second shield duration. So this is just a hard nerf, and also they made this 12 seconds. That's a huge nerf, because again, the passive early is really only for the initial ganks and not to stick on your target. So they pretty much just hurt her late game. They hurt her late game so hard, her late and mid game really hard with these changes. And here they nerfed her damage so much. Like, again, this is literally in half, and yeah, this is just a disaster for the drawing. I don't agree with all these nerfs. I could maybe agree with the permafrost. Like, for instance, if I were to be if I were in charge of this, I would probably just nerf the damage a bit here. Like, I think this is okay if it was just this. His her passive. Uh, I mean, again, I think either, like, it's either you do these nerfs or you do this nerf. You don't do both. And even if you were to do both, they could have probably did both, but like, I don't even understand why they did both. Like, it really affects her that she doesn't get the 3 seconds left, the 3 second duration, and the fact that it's a really long cooldown. Because late game team fights, you would used to be able to dip out of the fight and, like, chase a bit and then, like, go back in, but now it won't come back up in time. So yeah, it's pretty brutal in Sejuani, honestly. Oh well. Udyr, I only see Udyr. I don't play Udyr. I don't really know. I mean, again, these are all straight up buffs. He's getting massive AD bonuses. Udyr builds Devour though, so the only thing that the total attack damage really buffs is when you buy a Trinity Force and perhaps Hysterics. But the fact that his base damage growth is up is pretty good alongside with the Tiger Stance. He's gonna have a much healthier clear now though, because of that as well. And again, I don't really play Udyr, so I mean, these are just buffs. We'll see how it goes. I don't really know how that's really gonna shape him. I don't really play against enough Udyrs to really know. And these Urgot changes are, I believe, it's overall a nerf. Although I don't know. Apparently, writers say it's an overall buff. Let me sort of look at this. Well, they made his leg cooldowns not really scale. Like, you don't need to opt into CR now, which is quite nice. They lowered his damage per leg though, but it goes back up after. I don't know. I'm not really much of an Urgot player. I mean, so far it looks like he doesn't need to get CR, which is probably nice for an Urgot player. Mana cost 50 all ranks. This is pretty much a buff. I don't. Yeah, this is a buff. Mana cost doesn't really matter nowadays. This is a buff. And no, this was actually massive. This was actually a massive buff. So yeah, I don't really see why people were complaining about this before. I don't really. Again, I only see Urgot sometimes. I think he's a pretty solid champion. So Yeah, you know what? We're just gonna see what ends up happening with Urgot. Okay, like just yeah. Then Zhao, wow, this is actually a huge buff. His recommended items got updated. It's probably gonna have some. I guarantee it's gonna be some stupid items. Okay, because I actually really don't agree with a lot of recommended items. And Ardent Sensor, yeah, that item got nerfed. I was actually really bored of this patch because everyone just built Ardent Sensor and it's really boring. Like, I don't know why it even took so long to even nerf it, honestly. But I'm glad that it's finally gone. Maybe someone paid someone at Worlds to not nerf it. Who knows? Frozen Heart buff. Frozen Heart, I've never seen it really built. There's this, like, Thornmail is just so strong of an item, and the fact that it also doesn't attack speed slow is pretty insane. And Frozen Heart was a really popular item back in the day because it was cheap and that CDR was hard to come by. And it was only hard to come by because before people didn't really use, again, less items had CDR, but also people didn't really use CDR blues like CDR scaling blues. People don't use CDR scaling blues, they only use flat CDR, which I don't really agree with a lot of the time because CDR scaling blues outscales very fast, and the chance of it of flat scaling coming in handy is, I think, slim. I mean, honestly, if they want Frozen Heart to be used more, they should honestly just lower the cost or something back to how it was. Like, it's really the only reason. It's just really expensive, and it doesn't really add any. Like, there's just so much AD casters nowadays that the attack speed doesn't really matter. Like against Jhin, this doesn't matter. Like, there's just so many. Like, it's just in this type of game, but where everyone has like abilities to cast now. You need, like, Tormil's is overpowered. Okay, you need that, or Randos is fine against crit, but I usually just get Tormil anyway because that Grievous wound thing is insane. So I don't really expect to see much play of this because again, CDR is pretty easy to get nowadays, and it's just too much of an investment. Honestly, increased aura range would be interesting. Tear of the Goddess. I've never been a big fan of this item. This is a buff to Jace though because he does build it. Ezreal, I'm not a fan of this item on Ezreal, honestly. I think it's really garbage. So really, this is mostly just a buff to Jace. I don't even think any mages build Archangel staff, which is funny, except Ryze. I think that's the only champion that builds it. Maybe even Karthus, but I don't see Karthus that much. So this is actually a buff to Ryze and Ezreal. Not Ezreal, Jace. And potentially Karthus. So yeah, and it's got buffs as well, the man immune, but not the Archangel staff, which is interesting. So it's mostly a buff to Jace. So sort of a buff to Karthus and Ryze. And I mean that's really it, I think. Yeah, that's it. So yeah, you know what? This patch was really lackluster. You should have got massively buffed. Like I'm shocked that they think like you guys really need more info on how she's doing. She's fucking garbage. Okay? Heard from me. Bye.